Woohoo. Thank you, Maria. I'm Alex. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is June 27th, 2018. I'd like to start off with that. Just gives you a new overview of who I am, I guess. Anyways, really grateful to be here. Thanks, Maria, for asking me. Led an online meeting about 2 or 3 days ago, and it was like, I don't know, was out of pocket. It was nice. Like, I was chilling. I figured I'm gonna be just fine tonight. Till 20 minutes ago, I thought so too. And now I'm sitting here, my heart's pounding, being like, shit, I'm being recorded once again. And like, I don't know, this is just way too much for me. Anyways, I'm here, which is a cool part of all this. And probably tell you a little bit about my story. So let's see, I came into the rooms when I was 22. And I fucked up my life a little bit, but you know, I came to meetings because a bunch of attorneys told me to, and it was a bunch of people that messed up their lives way more than I ever did. And they were, for the most part anyways, much, much older than I was. And so I was sitting there thinking to myself, what the fuck am I doing here? I don't belong. And so I spent a solid amount of time resisting anything that anyone had to say in this program. Probably for the first 90 days. Welcome to anyone who's below that day count. Keep coming back, it gets better. So yeah, about 3 months in, something happened that people would walk up to me and be like, yo, Alex, you look like way less stressed, you're like way more yourself, and look way happier. And I was sitting there being like, what the fuck are you talking about? I still feel like ass. I still don't want to be here. And eventually got to feel that 2 or 3 weeks later, and got myself one of those sponsors. And one of those sponsors started sitting down with me and reading in the big blue book that we have, refer as Big Book 2. It's a really cool little reading. If you haven't done it yet, I highly recommend it. Anyways, something in there says that we've got an allergy of the body, that we've got an obsession of the mind. And I found myself in there because what that really means is I don't have any effective mental defense against that first ring. See, like, no matter how often I'd tell myself, oh, you know, not tonight or not this week, or I've got a really important commitment to attend, I'd get wasted pretty quickly. And then the allergy of the body part is that it won't stick with just one beer, right? Or one drink or whatever. But moreover, with me getting pass out drunk, I don't know, there were a couple of really, really bad things that happened then, right? Being a pain in the ass to my friends is one of the lesser bad things. Getting in trouble with the law so they want to put me to prison for 5 years is one of the less nicer things about this. And so let's see. That was a deal breaker for me to realize, okay, like, instead of trying to be that outcast, to be that like different from anybody else as I had tried for the entirety of my life, I belonged somewhere. That book told me I belonged somewhere. It told me, like, I'm actually one of those people that are like sitting in that room with me, you know. And I used to go to that little book study and we'd read the 12 and 12. And until that point, until I realized that I actually have a part in there, I made an effort to, like, I really liked that book study because after every paragraph that was read, it was open for sharing. And so I would try to explain to the rest of the group for every single paragraph how it didn't apply to me and how I don't belong there. But then again, I mean, you know, never thought prison was a good place for me, so I kept coming. And like I said, once I realized, hey, I actually might belong there, something changed. I was finally in a place where I at least stop enforcing that idea of trying to be different. I was okay with just being one of many for the first time in my life, I think. And then uh, start getting into this kind of step work with my sponsor, and that poor guy had to listen to me for hours on end about how this God thing doesn't work for me and how this is like complete and utter bullshit. And how I can, yeah, I don't know how to better explain it, but there was this guy in the program who told me, hey, listen, Alex, do you pray? And I was probably 5 or 6 months sober at this point. Mind you, I hadn't gotten beyond the first step. I was very much willing to admit that I'm powerless over alcohol, that my life indeed had become unmanageable, and I was fine with that being literally every part of my life. It wasn't just the alcohol part. I did realize, okay, when I'm trying to do things my way, shit is going to hell real fast. But I didn't want to accept the solution that AA lines out for you. And so this guy comes up to me, he's like, hey, Alex, do you pray? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm trying, I'm like checking in, whatever. And he's like, hey, listen, what I think is a great idea for you to do is put an alarm in your phone. And every 4 hours or so, let that alarm go off and think to yourself, you know, what's up, higher power? I've been thinking about bullshit for the past 4 hours, but thy will be done, not mine. And, you know, I didn't know what else to do. I was at a point where I was like, well, I'm trying to give this program the best shot that I have. And why not try to, you know, pray to something I don't understand, that I don't care about? And something really remarkable happened. I did that for maybe 30, maybe 60 days. And then one day, and this is probably my favorite story to tell in the rooms, a friend invites me to go to a 5:30 meeting where I'd go to at my regular meeting place. And I say, well, you know, I don't know whether I can make it. I still got a shitload of laundry to do. So I walk over to the laundromat with my heavy bag of clothes, and I realize that all the washing machines are occupied. And so walking back, 25 pounds of clothes in my arm, and I'm thinking to myself, my higher power probably did that to me so I can go to a meeting right now. That was a deal changer. I couldn't believe in that very moment that I actually thought that this thought occurred to me naturally, but it did. And I went to that meeting and I moved on from there. What that did for me was breaking that mental blockade I had against actually looking at my past, actually looking at all these things that had transpired in my life to get me to that broken mess that I was when I walked into these rooms. And once I did that, like, I was still trying to talk my way out of writing down a certain resentment or something, being like, you know, this is not super relevant. My sponsor said back in the day, just keep on writing it. It'll help you. It'll make you feel better. And so I wrote it, and it didn't make me feel better. Felt like ass, but I felt. For the first time in my life, I actually felt. So I guess I did feel better. I just didn't realize that didn't mean emotionally great. But that's not the point. I got to do that. I got to speak about all these things that I carried inside of me, that I had shielded for the past 10 or 15 years in my life. All that brokenness inside, I was finally capable of feeling in a completely different way than I ever was before. And so once I managed to do that, once I got that all out there, I told my sponsor all of these things. I had no reservation that he'd say anything. And it turns out he's done much worse shit than I have, which kind of makes me happy because, like, means I'm not that bad. What I'm grateful for to this day is he didn't say, you fucking idiot. He always said, hey, we all do stupid shit. I've done this, and I've done this in sobriety. And I'm like, oh shit, all right. That feeling of belonging that I talked about in the beginning just became stronger. And after I did that, I had the base tools to figure out what a spiritual connection with a higher power of my own understanding meant. I was able to sit down and look, this is where I misbehave. This is what I do over and over and over again. And then I sit here, I'm pissed about it, I cry about it, I curse them to death, and nothing changes. Now, I'm not protected from feeling bad feelings. But I can look at them honestly and be like, hey, this is actually not that bad. There's something I can do about this. That's where you get into those steps 8 and 9, where you actually do about what you fucked up. You do something about where you fucked up. You talk to people, you tell them that you're genuinely sorry, not because you're forced to tell them that, but because you want to. I'm paying this chick like $2,000 back. I never thought I'd talk to her again. She's irrelevant in my life. But then again, I fucked her over so I can feel better. And it was a very short-lasting better, because let me tell you, the amount of happiness you can buy off of a line of cocaine is very limited. And like, getting the chance to do that, having that chick answering my call and being like, hey, I haven't heard from you in 3 years. What are you talking? And me sitting there and being like, listen, like, I'm trying to live a different life today. I'm actually trying to make out what I've done wrong. It made me feel good. I'm literally paying money to feel good, I guess. Okay, that's a really fucked up statement. Don't quote me on that one. But like, the principle becomes clear, right? And after that, I can start doing that continuously. And I'm doing my second go around in those steps right now, and all sorts of really remarkable things happened over the course of the past 2 years. So like about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I got accepted into grad school. I was a college dropout when I came into the program. I had a like 1.6 GPA or some shit. Got into grad school, they gave me a merit-based scholarship for like shitload of money. I still can't believe that this actually happened. And it's like insane to see what I'm capable of being sober, but this is not the point. Like, there's a bunch of materialistic things that actually did happen. I've got my own apartment. I've got a super dope cat now. I have no idea where that little shit is, but anyways, I'll figure that out after. I've got a lot of cool things, a surfboard that doesn't break, a phone. I've had the same phone for 1.5 years, guys, and it didn't break once. The screen is still like okay and all that shit. But here's the deal. When this whole quarantine thing started, my parents asked me whether I'd like to visit. And so I came and spent about 2 weeks here, and I had to go back south because like probation shit and whatever. My parents live about 400 miles away from where I live. I had to go back south. And for the first time in my life, they said, hey, we don't want you to leave. It's really cool having you here. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, wow, this is new. And I figured, well, I guess this is what life is now. What ended up happening is them driving down those 400 miles to get me out of my apartment down south to have me come back up here to San Francisco Bay Area. I've been here for the past 3 weeks. I haven't fought with anyone really once. They were about done with me. They bailed me out of jail after I went on a high-speed fucking chase. My mom cried for 3 days straight. I'm sitting here having a grand old time with my little brother and with my parents without making this all about me. I can sit here, be content and accepting of what they do. That feeling that I have inside is so vastly different from what it was like 2 years ago. And that is a gift that's a direct result of going to these rooms and doing what I'm supposed to. And there is a couple of aspects to that. Like, I still get so caught in this persona that I used to be. I still get so caught in this idea that this is all about me. This is all about my pain. This is all about my luck. This is all about how amazing I am. I don't know, but there is like a lot of events where suddenly Alex takes control back. And funnily enough, the way that looks today is me being in 3 meetings at the same time, hosting 2 of them and sharing in the 3rd one, and not getting any of those things done correctly. See, I've got really cool tools to keep myself, my thoughts away from taking a drink, but that doesn't mean I can't fuck up my life. And this is a very small example. This is not really fucking up my life, but it showed me, hey, there's something there for me to look at. And sure enough, there was. And then I get an outline of how I can deal with that to feel better the next day. But, or even the same day, right? I've got days I wake up and feel like shit. And it changes within the matter of hours, not in a matter of months. And like, that's kind of amazing. The fact that I ended up getting house arrest for what I had done, and I was on house arrest for 3 months. And instead of getting to go to a meeting every day, I only got 3 meetings a week. And back then I still thought meeting makers would make it, which they don't, but it's a different story. So I started scrambling, trying to find meetings. And guess what? I found this very group that took me in, that started getting me involved in an online format of hey, who would have known that 6 months later, this is like the best knowledge I could have ever had. At the time, I was so fucking resentful at that, I don't know, electronic monitoring officer that told me I can only go to 3 meetings a week because, like, dude, come on, I'm like working recovery. Who the fuck are you to tell me I can't do that? But it put me exactly in the place I needed to be in order to be of service 6 months later to people I didn't even know then. It's such a cool thing to think about. That's such a cool way of how this program, how my life really works. I trip out about shit. I tell somebody else tells me, Alex, stop tripping out. You're going nuts about nothing. I stop tripping out, and something remarkable, cool happens that changes my life for the better. I don't know. That's pretty much all I have. And this is who I am today. But, you know, I can go to sleep tonight and think to myself, hey, I'm not that bad of a person. And being not that bad of a person is a really good thing compared to what I was 2 years ago. Because, yeah, I don't have that need to get wasted and tell you how difficult my fucking life is. I can listen to you telling me how difficult your fucking life is. And maybe even say some words of encouragement of how it gets better. I've got people calling me, asking me for advice today. It's pretty cool. Anyways, I hope anyone got anything out of this share. I was kind of all over the place. Like I said, this is really nervous being giving me a lot of anxiety. That's the right word, being recorded and all. But like, I'm really glad to be here. I'm really glad to see a couple of familiar faces. I'm really glad that Maria asked me to lead this meeting, and that I didn't pitch into my old character saying, no, fuck it, I don't want to do this, but to sit here and actually do it. And yeah, that's pretty dope. I don't know how to go from here, whether I call on people or not. I'd rather not. I like people raising their hands and saying what they want to say. That's cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. Now